Hello, Perfect Death here, and in this Ragnarok Online mobile video, I will be going over an sort of update that I've done to my sacrifice build, my sort of PvP sacrifice build. I generally run a hybrid of a sacrifice heal build. Oftentimes, we tend to mix and match different kinds of builds, whether it's sacrifice counterattack halo or pure sacrifice, all these little variations. So I decided to do a little bit of an update for the one that I've been doing, particularly because when we had the uh, blue ticket gacha thing that gave some of the old back pieces that we could get. I was rolling for the Fate Wheel so that I could do Komodo Legend Taunt spam a little easier. And while rolling for that, I also got this Demon Valley Lily item. And this is a good combo if you have... This is part of the Poison Sacrifice build where you run a Chimera Star card. And I just happened to have enough Zenny on hand that I was able to buy a Chimera Star. So the point of that build is sacrifice its damage is based off of your HP, your auto attack damage, and final damage. And so this damage dealt to poisoned target is actually considered final damage if the enemy is poisoned. And this has another 10% on that, and it has a chance of, it has a high chance, I think it's 100% to poison somebody. Doesn't say for how long, but it's not very long. And if people have poison resistance, then it really doesn't last long. And that's why we usually combo it with Chimera Star, because the 50% poison attack also includes the duration of the poison. So it can help counteract resistances, shortening your poison duration. And it's also good for resisting poison as well, much better than the Agriope card. So that's what I would run on my Watchers, plus 10 armor, as this has pretty good overall stats. If you wanted to compare this to the ancient equipments, it's kind of hard, since most ancient equipments, when you get them even to plus 15, they just start to match what the Watcher's armor does. And a plus 15 Watchers is generally considered best in slot. I do combo it with the giant wing shield for the heals, though I do keep trying to roll for the heroic monument one. This one here, where it can, as a random attribute, get 45% healing received, which I want to test out to see if how much it changes the heal sort of effect of it. But I keep getting these maxed HP rolls on it, so I haven't really been able to test that out. There's also some other things that I'm missing if I really wanted to try out a stronger heal build. One of them is for like weapon slot. The Hand of Light card has some pretty good bonuses that can help boost your heal. For now, I'm using a Meta Ant Egg, and I grabbed a Bloody Knight card. The reason for that is 5% extra HP from the Meta Ant Egg is actually going to give you less damage compared to auto attack, and the more auto attack damage you stack, the less of a difference each percent gives compared to max HP. That's why, balancing out the 3 different stats between health, your auto attack damage, and your final damage can get you more damage overall. So, and of course, I'm picking the dagger and the katana combo here. The alternate combo would be that you go for, say, an ivory lance, and the usefulness for going for an ivory lance is that you have this, which is just a 100% or so defense ignore. And if you were to get that with, say, a morale enchant, you can combo counterattack halo, which is focused on HP, physical damage increase, PDI basically, and I believe, what else was it? Because it's HP, PDI, and defense ignore that you want for counterattack Halo build. So there is some overlap that you could do if you want to do a counterattack Halo build. I'm going for a sacrifice heal build. And so a lot of my enchants are either things like vitality, healing increase, max HP, healing increase. Usually when it comes to getting your healing up the most, it comes down to these two stats here, healing received and healing increase, as we tend to get really high healing received just as being a Divine Avenger. There's also some of the buffs that we use and enchants. The set bonus between the Giant Wing Shield and the Watcher's Armor. Those two things will give you a lot of healing received. Another thing that gives a lot of healing received is the rune boots here. This is the synth of it, where it's plus 30% bonus healing. This is healing received. And so a lot of that will give us a very high healing received. Healing increase is what we do to ourselves and others. Healing received is what others do to us and what we do to ourselves. So there is overlap when it comes to self-heal. And my healing increase is pretty high just because if I go and find, where's my Oracle Mirror box? Somewhere in this big pile of junk. Here we go. I have a Crow Staff plus 10 in the Oracle Mirror, so that's 40% healing increase. And that is definitely a big boost to my heal. And along with some of these other things like these three pieces here give me most of my heal when it comes to gear. And that's why I would like to try to mess around with an alternative shield and also Hand of Light card. But those are all very RNG, and my luck has been not good enough to adequately roll those items. So for now, I decided I'll try out the poison build, and so far that's been pretty okay. When it comes to things like cards, well, you can always get like a Cena. It's pretty cheap to grab compared to something like, say, a Gorgon card, where if we filter that out to offhand, there she is. That one, 15% max HP and 5% skill damage reduction. This is a very strong card. If you wanted to focus on heal and you wanted a simple cheap card, then this is always an option. I used to run this a lot before. And then, of course, Lude Star is a pretty useful one because magic reduction. It's going to be useful against getting hit by, slayers and ninjas. And then this one's good for reducing neutral damage, and that's largely going to come from auto attacks if you're doing PvE. So PvP is a bit limited unless you're really worried about Chronomancer bombs. And then I think Basilisk. This is good against physical classes, as magic damage does not get reduced by size. And then is it the High Orc card? 10% damage reflect. This one can have some niche to it. Mostly comes down to if you're trying to just deal with Novice Guardians, or another example would be if you're fighting a Divine Avenger and you want to essentially win out in the one-on-one fight with another Divine Avenger. Having higher reflect can definitely help with that. And there will be an update that will add some synth gear for the garment, shoes, and accessories. So I'm not too rushed to try to get these rings higher, because there's going to be essentially a ancient equipment that's going to be the same as this, but slightly better. And they're going to be a lot easier to refine. So I've just been saving my Zenia, not refining these past 8. And I probably will just keep these. The garment and the boots, I'll probably just keep them the same. The reflect is good for dealing with novice guardians and other divine avengers. And then, of course, the boots give me that 30% healing bonus. So, when it comes to cards, I've been pretty conservative about it. I got a Scarecrow card. Gives you that combo of healing and HP. Now, I do usually run the Horong card in this slot instead of a Beer Penguin card, as this one gives you that healing receive bonus. And so I can easily just take this card out, put a Horong in, as that'll let me detect people. Headgear, I'm running this one for the HP, and it's also got the Mentalist card in it to make it so I don't have to worry about Chronoman, or no, not Stellar Hunters. They already are a pain in the butt because of Dark Matter Trap and Stormy Night Star cards, so having the Mentalist card so that I'm not also getting feared by them in Rune Masters is quite nice. As for some of the other things you want to deal with, having freeze resistance is also very useful, so I picked my dagger here specifically because of the freeze res on it. It's pretty good roll. Ideally, for a weapon of this build, I would want a double resist enchant on it. Usually one for freeze and then maybe the other one for Stone Curse if you can get really good luck on that, as Stone Curse is the other thing to look to resist. So if I see ninjas are going to be a problem, then I'll usually swap out. I've deposited it, but there's a mask. I'll bring it up, might as well. Face. Mr. Scream. This one, 30% Stone Curse resistance, and every refine is an extra 2%. So I got this at a +6, so that's 12% resistance there. So 42% Stone Curse resistance just from this one piece of gear. And then I can, if I'm also looking to stack more, there is the Golem card, which is a weapon slot, so I can always put that in place of the Meta Ant Egg card. And then I'm sitting at like 87% Stone Curse or something. And that's useful if, say, you're in 6v6 or something and a ninja decides to drop their Stone Curse AoE, at your spawn point area, so that you get Stone Cursed as soon as you leave. And then nobody touches you and they just let you sit there for a while. So that can be annoying, but getting nuked by fire element damage while you're Stone Cursed is a thing. So having more Stone Curse resistance is always good. So some of it's also a balancing act. What can you get with your gear and with your enchants? So I don't have the auto attack damage face. That one's a good option for the face if you're looking to do more damage. I've just gone for what I've been able to get, and that's HP. And similar with this one, I went for this one because it's got that HP and damage reduction. There is a mouthpiece that gives you vitality and a bunch of auto attack damage reduction. It's probably the best for resisting the damage from other sacrifice builds. But I've never had luck on getting that. I've tried rolling for it a lot with blue tickets and no luck. So I've just been relying on this guy here, this Kraken key. And then, of course, when it comes to alternatives, if you're not using a dagger, then you don't need to use the katana. You can instead use... One example would be like the Snowstorm Wings. More HP and can reflect status effects. Useful against, people who like to spam some of these at you. So it can work if somebody, like a Stellar Hunter, is using Stormy Night Star. This will reflect that freeze back at them as well. Though they tend to, if they're going to run a Stormy Night Star card, they'll probably be running a lot of freeze resistance as well so that they don't get frozen. Other alternatives, I've had this sitting around for a bit just in case I might want to meme Slayers, but I've Never been able to get my magic damage reflect up that high. I'd need a Maya if I really wanted to meme it. So I used to run this one for quite a while. This one's just from the recent 6v6 that you get randomly, because it's got that damage reduction, but this is physical damage. So if you were to go more for a heal build, then this one's very good for that, as it's damage reduction, magic damage reduction, and bonus healing. So this one you get from clearing Echoing Corridor all the way to floor 60. And yeah, in general, that's just an easy one that you can get, throw on, and then there's a bonus to heal. So why would you want to focus so much on healing? A big part of that, I'll demonstrate that here. When I go and say just attack stuff randomly, and I do sacrifice, if you look at my HP, right, it's really not going down. I am out healing all of the damage. The life steal from the new sacrifice rune made this really easy, that a strong heal build will just not care about this stuff. So I'm getting, 116k from one of my heals. I think that's my Glorious Guardian. My battle chant is also in there. So I've been gradually focusing more on Glorious Guardian heals than battle chant heals. So they sit close to each other right now. Both tend to be around 100k. You can see they get up to like 130k. That's when Tension Relax kicks in. So Tension Relax is one of the passives you get, or actives that you get from the Aesir node, as that is 30% bonus heal received. And that's very strong in this case. And as for other, I don't usually use any of these other skills into here, but you can see my double attack is listed in here as a 15% chance there. As for, wait, I was going to show off my Prepare for Elite. I do run, Endure, Auto Guard, Shield Reflect, Providence. This gives you reduced damage from Holy Element, which is mostly against Rune Masters. Tension Relax, Battle Chant, and Inspiration. Now, in this build in particular, I do have Spear Quicken level 10, and that's just in case I want to juggle and switch over to a spear build. This one, you don't really need Divine Protection past level 10, because Poison, Dark, and Undead elemental damage, it's not that common. But I grabbed Providence level 10 because holy damage minus 20% is nice, and it decreases demon race damage by quite a bit. This stat is a bit off because of the translation, so it's not actually 300% reduced. But yeah, when a Rune Master uses his one of his skills, he turns his race to demon. So, and you don't really need Retribution for a sacrifice build. Your attack value is just not really used by this build, even though it does after level 5. It does add attack here. It's not actually a neutral element, and it doesn't. The attack value is so low. You're pretty much using the HP portion that bypasses everything except for refined defense, final damage reduction, and auto attack damage. It's just those three things that people can use to resist sacrifice. And Reflex Shield is important to keep in mind because it's only a 1 meter, I think it's 1.5 meter reflect range. So you got to be pretty much in attack range. If you can auto attack somebody, you can reflect their damage back at them. So, and of course, I also got Faith for even less holy damage. When you're looking at Royal Guard skills, Piety is quite good, just because since I got rid of the Agri Up card, poison element armor made it so you took 25% less damage from elements like fire, water, wind, and earth. So this gives you an alternative if you are getting bullied by slayers or something, or ninjas. You can use piety. That'll give you that elemental armor bonus. I do have spear thrust level 3 just in case, again, if I wanted to use counterattack halo. I'm not looking to use earth drive for damage, but I do have the autocast level 10 on command charge here. And I tend to prefer running prestige instead of something like King's Guardian. And I don't use fearless on my build. I know some people really like using fearless. Some of it comes down to preference. This is very good against rune masters. And of course, a level 15 battle chant and max level inspiration. And of course, this for extra poison resistance. So, and then I think I do still have a level 5 shield charge. That's useful for stunning people and shoving them into a corner. And it has pretty good hit bonuses as well. And then a little bit of devotion, just so you can help people stay alive if they need to. And that one's defense ignore if you're running the Ivory Lance. So when it comes to your Divine Avenger skills, this skill is quite good. You know, link up with people. If they heal you, you heal them that amount back. And that's crazy strong if you are paired with, say, a Chronomancer in PvP. I've done a test with a full support built Chronomancer, and she was healing, you know, herself 400k, but she was healing me 1.6 million. And so because I would Divine Protection link her, she was getting healed 2 million every time Warm Breeze ticks, which is once a second. And then, of course, I have my heals that I'm doing to myself and to her that are also getting shared back to her as well. So she was getting, I think, 2.3 million heals per second or something. It was at least 2 million, but it got crazy high. And yeah, that's why this skill can be very useful for a heal build. It just keeps people alive. It makes it so, you know, if you see a saint, if a saint comes by and uses Cure Barrier, oh boy, they're gonna die out pretty much instantly. As for some of the other skills, I mean, Shield Press could be useful. I generally don't use it just because it tends to miss a lot. And with the Sacrifice Taunt rune, we can usually bully people quite a lot anyway, and having them hit you means that if you're in a Divine Avenger fight and they have Sacrifice Taunt, you have Sacrifice Taunt, there's certain strategies you can use, and I don't like causing them to not attack because then they don't use up their sacrifice charges. And I'll go over that more later. And then, of course, counterattack Halo. This one has a very wide AoE range, and it bypasses quite a lot of stuff. It's mainly countered by Energy Coat. As for some of these others, well, Glorious Guardian. This is definitely my biggest source of healing, I'd say. While it does spawn the AoEs on the floor, and that makes it kind of tricky to make use of it, the amount of healing it gives, as we can see, it's equal to my battle chant right now. You know, I'm still wailing away here. My health just does not go down because of these two sources of healing. But I'll go back into skills here, and oh wait, no, it's not in the skills. I have to go. I've covered it in another video, but essentially we have in the Aesir book, there is the Dying Recovery runes. These are found down in this corner here. Dying Recovery. So when you get both of these, it gives you at 30% of your HP, it will kick in and it'll give you this extra 200% heal. And that is, let's demonstrate that by, do I have a scroll? I want a nice weak monster. Seroma, Christmas cookie. Yeah, let's use that. And then undo. Yeah, so there was a 350k heal that I received. And that was because I was below 30%. And when I attacked this guy here, it's dropping these circles around me. If I turn my settings on, then we'll see them glow. Yeah, there we go. So these glowing circles, that's your glorious guardian heal. And if it heals you when you're below 30%, it gets that dying recovery bonus. And so it goes from, 100k up to 300k, right? We saw I was at 350k from my, I think it was like a 110. So it's, while it says a 200% modifier, it's more, because of where it is in the formula, it's stronger than 200%. So, and I'll just go back and cut down on my special effects. There we go. And it's because of that it outclasses your battle chant in terms of healing. And if you're in a fight with somebody and you get to that low HP point at 30%, your sacrifice charges are going to stop working. And you will be hitting people, but you won't be doing sacrifice because your health is too low. Therefore, having a strong dying recovery means you're constantly kicking in that 350k, and then you can see that's easily 2 extra hits from sacrifice. And because of course I'm healing back, 500k ish, depending on how much you're actually hitting for. Most players, I find I'm hitting for about half of this damage. The dummies here don't have any like refined defense or auto attack damage reduction. So if I wanted to maintain sacrifice having high heals is very nice. And the reason for that is, we'll go into my list of stuff here. There we go. Go into my good old Reckless Raid rune here. And that is the Taunt. That is a 3-second taunt. Forces the opponent to auto attack you, and it prevents them from using skills. So if you're fighting another Divine Avenger and you both have Reckless Raid, you both, start taunting each other, you both get stuck into this endless loop of hitting each other. So if you have more charges at the start of that fight, you have the higher chance of getting to maintain taunt on your opponent longer, which means they don't get a chance to rebuff sacrifice. And then if you can rebuff your sacrifice, you can keep them suppressed, you can keep just taunting them. And if you get your HP too low, then your charges are going to stop working. And when that happens, then they can get free, they can rebuff themselves with sacrifice, and then they can start hitting you, and then that keeps you below your sacrifice threshold. So being able to go above your sacrifice threshold due to just healing a lot is very useful in a one-on-one DA fight. So I found in some of the 6v6 matches and GVG, things like that, I found that I tend to win most 1v1s, or at the very least, if I've fought in a very, tanky, healy, DA with really strong heals, he will usually just sit at like that 30%, and I'll just hold him there pretty much forever. And some of the strategies around that are right now I've got it all on auto, but usually I just have auto attack here, and I just do everything manual. So I will just sit there and I will try to keep refreshing my sacrifice whenever I can. We have 7 charges or something like that. If you've got there's some runes for it that give you 3 extra charges, which is right here, 3 extra charges. This is very useful. And then there's an AC rune that gives you 1 extra charge. So the more charges you have going into the fight, the better. And I will often reapply my sacrifice manually after maybe 3 or 4 hits sometimes, just to make sure I'm topped up on my charges when I'm fighting another DA. As if, he taunts me and I can't reapply, at the very least I hopefully have more charges than him going into that, and then I have a higher chance of applying the last taunt before he can reapply his sacrifice, and therefore, we just keep, I just keep him suppressed, and he can't really gain control. Because aside from that, you're just sort of stuck waiting, and you just sort of wait and see until you're able to reapply sacrifice, and then you do that first right away. And then if you manage to gain control of the fight, then you can, PFE and rebuff your heals. If you're looking to win a one-on-one and he's really tanky, then you might have to just wait out their heals. So wait for their battle chant to expire, and probably wait for their glorious guardians to expire, which means you have to wait for auto guard to go down. And that's a very long fight, because auto guard lasts 120 seconds. And so if he's able to rebuff himself with auto guard, then he's got glorious guardian AoEs again. So that could be a very long fight if you're trying to one-on-one a DA and you're both really tanky and have lots of extra heals. So aside from that, I know there's some builds that like to go smoky card, and they will go fast, or they will sneak around, and in order to go fast while hiding, they get the charging leader rune, but they don't get the earth drive auto cast, which can reveal them if they hit somebody with earth drive while hidden. Instead, they try to roll this first line as best as possible so that they can keep their command charge going, as this negates the slow effect of smoky card hide. As for that, solid barrier is a very useful rune for the auto guard blocking. That prevents you from getting staggered from your own auto guard. And then I run, because I like prestige, I run that one. And then this one, I do generally run the indestructible one. I find most of the stripping happens just because somebody's auto attacking and they have metal pouring cards, and so they only really strip your accessories. So I just decided, I'll run my good one with, good first line, and then this second line, because there's a lot of gear breaking, so having my shield still function is quite nice. As for alternative daggers, I should probably mention that the cat paw is probably the better option if you're looking for a dagger, as it has a stun on it, and I found less people are using stun resistance, as they're more concerned with freeze and with stone curse. And some of the other things to consider, I mean, I'm running a Ferris card for HP, but there's some other useful ones as well. An example would be of one that some people always forget about, but it exists. It's kind of neat. The Fiery Main Star card reduces attack speed and move speed. So again, if you're, say, against an auto attack type build, like another sacrifice build, or Rune Master, or a Stellar Hunter, this is going to reduce their attack speed, which kind of can be neat, because most people build their attack speed right up until they get to that, 480 ASPD. But yeah, I don't really have much of the whale options for some of my gears. I ended up just saving up and getting my Eclipse Star and my Chimera Star. So as for that, I think that was really about it. This build is pretty good in a one-on-one, and it's got pretty good, team support, because again, you can use your Divine Protection, you can link up with your teammates and they heal each other a bunch, so that way you can keep your group alive and just sort of keep sacrifice on hand as like a one-on-one thing. You see somebody of who's a high priority target, and you can go for them and bully them and then run back to the team. A good example of that would be if you see a priest, spamming res, then you can just run over and bully the priest. Or like slayers who are hiding in their white barrier, if you attack them with sacrifice and the taunt rune, then you can taunt them through the white barrier, and then they can no longer use skills. And you just wait for the white barrier to expire, and then you can hit them with sacrifice and do damage, and hopefully they don't break free before they die and can use their immortality skill. If you find a chronomancer, it's kind of like they always hide, because they know if they get spotted they tend to get focused, but if they use remove buff on you, then you just have to run away. But if you can get to them before they can remove buff or space silence, you can get your sacrifice taunt off on them, and then if you can hold them long enough, you can wait until Warm Breeze goes out. Because again, a lot of them have like 400k Warm Breezes, and they build for quite a lot of auto attack resistances. So while I'm sitting here doing 800k, 400k against a tanky Chronomancer, it's might be 150k per sacrifice hit, and maybe like a 300k on a double attack or something. But it does mean that they can pretty easily out heal that if they're running a decent 400k Warm Breeze. And that's pretty much the strategy that I usually run with, is just if I see somebody who's an easy target, I go after them. If not, then I just run around and focus on supporting the team, making sure that they all stay nice and healed up. And then if sometimes I can hold the orb in a 6v6 setting, because I can heal quite a bit. And same with holding chess pieces or holding objectives like a crystal in War of Crystals. But the main thing is, I find that this build isn't too glass cannony, but I do still need to work on it. So we'll see what my luck ends up being, and whether or not I can get some of the options, like replace the meta ant egg for maybe Hand of Light, and maybe eventually get that 45% heal received, and see how much I can stonk my Glorious Guardian heals. So that'll be it for this video. Take care.